At the local hospital, Shin is napping in a staff's lounge since he pulled off an all-nighter while the other staff keep trying to wake him because his phone is ringing. One of them reads the caller ID out loud, saying it is Mizuho. Shin's eyes snap open. He immediately grabs the phone and answers, apologizing for not picking up right away. The people in the room watch as he makes casual small talk with Mizuho before ending the call. The male staff members tease him, asking if that is his rumored childhood friend. Shin becomes slightly defensive about the truth of their relationship as they continue joking about Mizuho. Later, Shin meets Mizuho, who playfully calls him by his profession. He looks at her with a bored expression, asking her to just be normal and call him Shin again. Mizuho offers him a lunchbox so they can eat together. When he opens it, he finds barbecue, which is an unusual thing to eat first thing in the morning. Mizuho admits that it is actually her breakfast. They sit down and Shin watches her eat while she explains that she needs the extra protein to build stamina for her meeting with an artist later. She begins talking about how the new story is shaping up and confidently declares that it will be a hit. She grows so enthusiastic that she starts choking on her food. Shin immediately hands her a drink and reminds her about their agreement to meet everyone for the fireworks festival by the Seagull statue at 6 in the evening in 2 days. Mizuho calms down and tells him not to worry. She adds that everyone is surprised Shin managed to take half a day off to attend the festival, since he is the busiest among their group. Mizuho stands and walks a few steps away, growing wistful as she thinks about their last festival together. It happened 10 years ago, when they almost couldn't attend because of the pandemic. The event still pushed through, and it became an important shared memory for all of them. Shin watches her back, stubbornly curious. Mizuho checks the time and says she has to leave. She promises to see him again in 2 days, but before she goes, Shin asks if she has been in contact with Kazuki. Mizuho freezes and then gives him a small, clipped smile as she admits that she has not. Shin asks if they can talk privately later after they attend the festival. That evening, Shugo and Iru finish dinner and chat casually, both missing Mizuho since she couldn't join them this time. They mention that Mizuho seems to be in a particularly good mood lately. They then shift the conversation to Kazuki, as he's been absent from their lives as of late. Iru says he is confident that Kazuki will not show up at the festival. He and Shugo talk about Kazuki's career, recalling how the last time they heard, he was overseas on a business trip. It has been 3 years since either of them last spoke to him. Kazuki apparently suffered from an injury, and even though he is supposed to make a full recovery, he quit swimming and then completely ghosted the group, including Mizuho. Iru is especially upset that Kazuki never even reached out to Mizuho. He vents his frustration and is about to swear that he will make Kazuki pay, but Shugo suddenly cuts in, saying that he will be the one to teach Kazuki a lesson for making Mizuho so upset. The declaration catches Iru off guard since Shugo looks even angrier than he does, as they are all fiercely protective of Mizuho. On the night of the festival, the grounds overflow with excitement. People wander between food stalls and game booths as the air fills with laughter and music. Mizuho walks alone through the festival, her thoughts drifting into nostalgia. She notices a group of boys wearing her old high school's jerseys, and it immediately pulls her back into the past. 10 years ago, she was still in high school, attending the fireworks with her friends. Kazuki had been absent when they watched it together. She remembers running back to school and jumping into the pool to meet Kazuki. She had gotten her uniform drenched in water that evening, but she had managed to spend the last few moments of the fireworks with him. At that time, she believed she wanted Kazuki by her side, no matter how much time passed. A message from Shugo pulls her out of her thoughts. He says he will be late because the person who is supposed to come in to take over his shift has yet to arrive. Iru also messages the group chat, explaining that he is on the train but will arrive in about 30 minutes due to how cramped it is. Mizuho stares at her phone, unable to believe her luck. She desperately hopes that Shin will at least arrive on time. Instead, Shin suddenly has to deal with an emergency case and rushes a patient into the hospital's emergency room. Mizuho waits by the statue where they promised to meet. While others litter the grounds with friends and loved ones, she remains alone. The fireworks begin, and she watches them from her spot, feeling lonely. Then she hears the familiar jingle of a bag charm. For a split second, she believes it is Kazuki. She turns, only to see a similar bag charm she had given Kazuki hanging from a young boy's bag. Mizuho feels disappointed and turns back to the fireworks, only to see the familiar figure of Kazuki standing right in front of her. She cannot believe her eyes, but the longer she looks, the more undeniable it becomes that it really is Kazuki. She slowly walks up to him and asks why he is back. Without hesitation and fixing his gaze on her, Kazuki says that he came to see her. Tears well in Mizuho's eyes. 10 years ago, she knew without a doubt that what she shared with Kazuki was a special kind of love. In 2020, Kazuki trains relentlessly in the pool, pushing himself to break his own swimming records. As he finishes, his coach times him and confidently tells him that he keeps improving and clearly has a future as a competitive swimmer. Kazuki rushes outside to meet Mizuho, who waits for him to finish practice and take a shower. His hair is still wet when he reaches her, and Mizuho scolds him for not drying off properly. Kazuki insists he hurried because he did not want to keep her waiting. Mizuho huffs, reminding him that they are only running Christmas errands together, so there is no need to rush. As she starts to leave, Kazuki suddenly tells her that he has made real progress. His coach had said he would likely make the training team next year and even compete in that season's events. Determination fills his eyes as if he wants to say more, but he holds back. Instead, he simply tells Mizuho that he expects her to be there to cheer him on. Mizuho was expecting a different conversation, but nonetheless promises to do so. That evening, Shugo proudly admires the cake roll he baked, claiming it is the best one yet, while Iru teases him for saying the exact same thing every year. As they wait, Shugo complains about how late everyone is. They had sent Mizuho and Kazuki to buy last-minute supplies, while Shin is busy with preparatory school for college. Iru quietly admits that he has a feeling Mizuho and Kazuki will not show up. He explains that whenever he sees the two of them together, he wonders how long their friend group can really stay the same and celebrate parties together. The waiter's words settles over them, until Shin suddenly arrives, apologizing for being late because he stopped somewhere on the way. He clutches a small paper bag in his hand. At the same time, Kazuki and Mizuho are stuck at the train station. An announcement comes on saying that all trains are delayed due to the bad weather. Kazuki sneezes from the cold, and Mizuho immediately wraps her scarf around him. She scolds him for not bringing his own, reminding him that he always gets cold easily. Kazuki stubbornly says he does not want to go home and suggests they skip the party, reasoning that their friends will let it pass. Mizuho quickly shuts that down, insisting they get on the train as soon as it arrives. When she sits back down, Kazuki asks what she is so afraid if they stop being just childhood friends. He admits that he has been in love with her for a long time and says he wants to spend Christmas and New Year's with her alone as a couple. Then he goes even further and says he wants to marry her someday. Mizuho is stunned into silence. The train arrives without her giving him an answer, so they return to their familiar street where the party is being held. Mizuho feels guilty for dodging his confession, sensing that she upset him when Kazuki suddenly says he's going home first to drop his things. She watches his retreating figure as guilt fills her. At the party, Iru and Shugo fool around while Shin watches the window quietly from the side. Meanwhile, Kazuki lies weakly on his bed, no longer wanting to join the celebration. He turns over just as Mizuho enters his room. Mizuho walks over and notices that he is running a fever. She helps him get more comfortable by helping him take off his layers while gently scolding him for always making her worry. She glances to the ground and he pats her head as she continues to tell them to stop calling her by her nickname and to stop looking at her so lovingly, because it makes her uneasy because her thoughts suddenly get filled with him. Drowsy but elated over the affection he is receiving from her, Kazuki asks her to think about him more. His eyes suddenly look at her like she is the most precious thing in the world. Seeing her teary face, he slowly draws her closer, testing to see if Mizuho will pull back. Their lips almost meet, but Mizuho's phone suddenly rings. She pulls back and answers her phone. She assures Iru that she is fine and promises to join them soon. She moves toward the door, promising Kazuki that she will bring him cake, food, and their friends later, and that he should rest first if he can get better. Kazuki looks at her with longing but nonetheless agrees with her plan. Mizuho hesitates and goes back and kisses him. Kazuki asks what that kiss means, which only leaves her more confused. He leans in and kisses her himself, asking again if she is still unsure. Mizuho can only respond with a blushing face, so he pulls her into another kiss, quietly asking her to stay with him a little longer. In front of Kazuki, Mizuho lashes out at him for suddenly showing up after disappearing for 3 years without contacting any of them. She tells him he cannot just come back whenever he wants because whatever relationship they once had is already over. After saying her piece, she turns and runs away, refusing to hear anything else from him when he calls out to her. As she pushes through the festival crowds, questions race through her mind. She keeps wondering why he ever left her in the first place, and how that unanswered pain continues to haunt her for the past 3 years. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe so you won't miss new episode every week.